Stand by to launch FanStream Sports.
3, 2, 1. Let's start.
Hello, sports fans. Welcome to FanStream Sports. Nothing but pure sports. This is the JP Show.
JP, it is so good to hear you back on the air.
Stand by. Now, here's JP.
All right, welcome into a Monday edition of the JP Peterson Show. Man, we got so much to talk about. What an insane weekend of sports. The greatest finishes ever in the Kentucky Derby and maybe NASCAR. A shocker at F1. Incredible walk-off for the Rays. The Tom Brady roast. The Magic choke in Game 7. Man, so much to get to. We're so glad you're with us today. We got 2 hours of nonstop Tampa Bay sports talk coming your way. Nick Geddes from On3 Sports joining me this morning. Do we have enough on the docket today, Nicky, or what?
It's my 25th birthday today.
Oh, I didn't know that. Happy birthday.
There you go. Just adding
Happy
to
birthday.
it right there.
All right. Well, there you go. We'll celebrate. And
I know. And I had to throw them. I threw
what you love to do best, talking Tampa Bay sports.
Exactly. And I threw on my new favorite hat right now, my Sky Ray.
Oh my God.
Got no reason
Undefeated.
to take it off, and neither should the Rays.
There's no doubt that brought them some good karma. No question about it. They look fabulous. And when you look good, you play good, right? So we'll get into the Rays and that whole incredible the sweep itself was kind of weird as they get 2 runs the other night from bases loaded walks, whatever it takes. Well done. And Pepio gets ripped with a line drive, and you're like, oh, how are you going to win this game? And then you come back in the bottom of the 10th. Randy hits a home, or is it the 9th? Randy hits the home run in the bottom of the 9th with 2 outs, 2 strikes. They go to extra innings, and DeLuca wins it on a triple. I mean, what a freaking weekend. What a freaking weekend. But let me set up the show. We're going to do those 2 highlights here in a second. At 11:30 or 10:30, Steve Carney's going to join us, Rays analyst. Really, really good perspective on all that's going on with the Rays. At 11:15, Ron Diner will join us from NoHomeRun.com. We'll give you a stadium update. They're having a town hall tomorrow, and we will tell you folks why we want the Rays to stay in Tampa Bay, but not this deal. Not this deal. 11:45, we're going to do a Hydrate Heroes today, very special hero from the military that we are going to celebrate today. So, and all in between, we got all the stuff from this weekend, including, did you watch the Brady roast last night? I know you did.
I watched the entirety of the Brady roast last night, and it was
outstanding.
It was a cultural moment, JP. It was a cultural moment.
It really was. Like, people will never forget that roast of the greatest, and there was nothing, and I mean nothing off limits.
If that's the new standard for roast, woof.
Kevin Hart went right to the jiu-jitsu teacher right off the top. Like,
right off the top.
Forget the 7 Super Bowls. Like I know you're a smart guy, but really?
Yeah, it's lots of Giselle talk, or as Ron Burgundy was saying, Giselia talk throughout the entire broadcast. That was crazy, and I did not have Bill Belichick on my bingo card, by the way.
Showing up and getting roasted?
To be roasted and to roast as well. Yeah. I did not have that on my bingo card last night.
And he did not look like he was enjoying it at all.
I thought he did well when he was roasting. Like, it's a very dry humor.
Yeah.
Very dry humor. But there were a couple things that happened last night where I was like, ooh, cut it. Cut the feed. Bill's not into it. Bill's not into it.
And then Kevin Hart made him come up and do a shot with Bob Kraft.
That's the one. And Kevin Hart's like saying, like, we just solved all this beef. We just made each other best friends. And I'm like, you didn't solve jack, Kevin. Bill wanted to get so far away from Robert Kraft in that moment.
Kraft's message joke was history. I'm trying to remember which one that was.
Oh, I think it was
the massage joke.
That's the one that Tom, and I don't know if that was scripted or not, where who was the first guy he presented? Oh my goodness. He's like the godfather of the roast.
Yeah, the guy that produced it. Whatever. Yeah,
whatever. He came up and made the joke about Tom told Robert Kraft, like, when he first drafted him, I'm the best decision your organization has made. Then there's a long pause, and it's like, and then he asked for a massage. And And then, Tom got up there and on the mic, you could audibly hear him was like, "Hey, don't say that ish again." And it sounded like Tom was like really pissed off about that joke, but it got a lot worse.
That one about they were so much worse.
Did you hear the Aaron Hernandez jokes?
Oh wow,
my gosh!
Yeah, where Brady goes, Gronk became the greatest tight end ever for the Patriots, but the bar was set pretty low. Just don't murder. Like I'm not sure you can go there. I'm not, the other stuff is just fair game, but I'm not sure you can joke.
They said, and I quote, and you can use your imagination for this one. Aaron Hernandez was, quote, hung, was one of the references that was made. Again, your imagination, you could figure it out. There's so much you almost cannot even come close to repeating on any show today.
Yeah, we won't have any sound from that today, folks. Unfortunately, you're going to have to go watch that yourself because every other word is the F-bomb.
It's worth it. And I said it was a culture.
You can't even bleep it out.
I said it was a cultural moment, JP, because I felt like as a country, we needed it because everybody made fun of each other. There were no limits drawn. And right after everybody was done, you know what everybody did? They dapped each other up, said that was funny, and we sat down and we moved forward. Like there was nobody offended by it. Like I needed to see that last night.
Yeah. It was it was epic on so many. Yeah. And it's like, we can make those jokes and still be friends. We don't have to go off to our corners and wish the other person dead. We don't have to do that. It's just, this is the way it used to be. You could say it and do it. And it was because that's what it is. You know, like
my faith in comedy was restored last night.
Yes. Life happens. And, and if you don't laugh about it, for God's sakes, you're going to go crazy. You're going to go nuts. Yes. It was epic on so many levels. You got to go see it. It's on Netflix. But I was, and this is completely provincial of me and every other Bucs fan. We were ignored, but the Buccaneer era was just ignored.
Oh yeah, this was the Patriots. Like this is a spinoff of the Patriots documentary. This is everything. Like it was, which I was just like, first of all, Rashad Perriman. I have no idea how he got the invite on stage. No offense to Rashad, but he was in like my line of view too the entire night. And I was just like, that's weird.
What is he
Levante, Levante, Donovan Smith and Ryan Jensen and everything, like they're on stage, but like there was no mention of them.
No. There's no mention of the Bucs years whatsoever, but whatever. That's probably, not rightfully so.
Well, there was one Antonio Brown joke with, Giselle involved, and that was it.
Yeah. So it was fantastic. Highly recommended. Go watch it. If you're easily offended, stay away as far as you possibly can because everybody is toast in that. And it's absolutely fantastic. And it was funny though, Bucs related. Levante was asked by Rich Eisen on his show on Friday, like who couldn't be roasted? Like who couldn't on your team? And he like Devin White. And then I'm like, absolutely. Mr. Thin Skin himself, which is why we're all so glad that he's gone because he's not part of the culture, not a positive part of the culture. Yes. And that got a lot of play too. A lot of people jumped on that. And I was like, absolutely. So if there's any residue from this, that's probably it. But that was hilarious on so many levels and probably cathartic for Tom. It's out there, people know, and it's like whatever.
He had like the biggest just 360 when it comes to a personality change in the last like 5 years of any athlete you've seen?
Oh my God, yes.
I mean, and even everybody on that stage, like Bill Belichick's right there, and these guys feel comfortable enough now in their own skin to make all these jokes and say all these things with Bill right there. And Bill's like a part of it now too. And Bob Kraft's a part of it. Like, it's just so crazy how we thought of all those characters for years. And then you see him just totally like undressed, like Gronk, for example, who's always been, the oddball there in New England. But he was full tilt Gronk yesterday. Full tilt Gronk.
Yeah, it was good. It was really good. All right, let's get to the Rays stuff. And I guess we'll start with Randy, right? It seems to finally finding it a little bit. Yeah.
I feel like you have to. That was a moment on Friday night in Tropicana Field. Like there were people that were chiming in like in our comment section on what was it, Thursday show, saying
Thursday and Friday,
Thursday and Friday show. Let's do a standing ovation for Randy. And it was on other shows too around the Bay Area. Like it was really like co-joined, and it was like a little bit of a groundswell movement of like, hey, let's show up to the Trop on Friday. We know Randy's struggling, but let's not be like one of those other fan bases that boos the crap out of him because he's not doing so well. He's always been great to us fans, right? Randy's always been a stand-up guy, signs every autograph, all those things. So let's uplift him. He's wearing the City Connect jerseys. This is his night. It's Friday night in the Trop. Randy Land, all these things.
Yeah.
Like, let's give him some motivation. And he hits that home run, and I think it was the 4th or 5th inning.
Yeah.
And it's like one of the longest home runs. It may be the longest one he's hit in Tropicana Field, I believe.
Yep.
I mean, that was a moment on Friday
Free
night.
Free drinks for everybody.
Free cerveza.
Yeah. Free cerveza. Get your coupon now. Yeah. So that was, we get free beer, we get a home run, and then, it's, as big as the DeLuca one was, Randy's was bigger. Kept the game going.
Right. And then he hits, that was the one on yesterday.
Yeah, Sunday.
Where setting the scene on that one was crazy too. Where Edwin Diaz comes up, hasn't blown a save in 26 opportunities going back to 2022. And he forgot the 2 batters before Randy, but he put them away so easily.
Oh, 2 quick outs.
Two quick outs. And he just threw Randy a bunch of sliders, which was surprising because Randy has struggled with fastballs, particularly up high. And he gives them just slider after slider after slider, and he gets enough of it. And here's the call from Valley yesterday.
And a high fly ball back into deep left. Nimmo's going to go back. That baby's gone. Home run of Rosarena on a 3-2 pitch. And this game is tied.
Down to your last strike. Down to your last strike. Yeah, that was a hanger too. And it's funny because you see the camera pan if you're listening to us on the podcast. See the camera pan past the pitcher Diaz, and he's like smiling, like, I can't believe that just happened. I can't believe it just. And Randy pimped it too.
Oh yeah, which I'm surprised he pimped it because it barely got out. It barely got out, but yeah, I didn't see that coming. I thought the Rays were dead at that point. I was like, oh, they're going to win 2 out of 3. That's fine.
Which is great. Yeah.
Which is great. But yeah, when that moment happened, I'm like, well, there's no way they're losing this game.
Yeah.
There's no way they're losing this game. So. And
Pepio started great, and then, well, not great, started pretty good, and then gets freaking drilled with 107 mile an hour line drive off the bat and hits him right in the fat part of the calf. Holy crap. Can you imagine? Man, so I don't know. He tried to pitch through it. Way more gutsy than Antonio Davis, or Anthony Davis. But hey, that he couldn't go anymore. And then the bullpen came in, kept him in the game.
Shout out to the bullpen, man. They had to come in and pitch 8 innings?
Yeah, I believe 6.5. That was in the 2nd inning. 6 1/3, 2/3. Yeah.
Yeah. Like Rodriguez gave him an inning, Kelly 2, Clevenger, Armstrong.
Yeah, Rodriguez did a hell of a job coming in and just giving up 1 run.
Right. He came in a tough situation.
Especially
tough for a young guy. So
had to face 3, 4, 5, if I'm not mistaken. He got Alonso with a pop-up, strikeout, if I'm not mistaken, and then got out of it and then gave up a walk. But crappy, though, because the 2-2 pitch was strike 3 and didn't get the call. Perfect freaking pitch on the black. Didn't get the call. So we shouldn't have given up anything in coming in. But he got out of the deal, and then they go on and walk it off. And the City connects. The Sky Ray, look at that. Look at that Sky Ray on your hat. Fantastic. So I have to say this. So on Thursday or Friday, it was Friday, there was an article in the paper saying what a great marketing genius thing this is because it appeals to the skater and the underground art culture. And as I said a gazillion times on the show and in my post, I love the unis. They're fantastic. Absolutely home run, beautiful, love them. But if you're trying to appeal to the skater and underground art scene, those people aren't buying luxury boxes and tickets. And the further point being, the as you have said many times, Nick, the culture of St. Petersburg is not baseball. It's not. That is not. It is very much. I guess there's this huge skater population, I think, but that's very much in doubt. I don't think there's a huge. I mean, it's Tropicana. Is St. Pete a skater town? No,
I didn't get it at first, but then I went back and did some history. I listened to some other people, and apparently, like again, early 2000s, it sounds like, or late 90s. This was a big thing, so it was a callback to that.
But no more. But history, okay, fine.
But I was gonna say this, like I actually gave them props for this because this is the way I read it. So what you're saying is those people aren't going to the games, and we've talked about that all the time. But with that being said, we have to keep in mind they are trying to build a stadium at this location and make it the home of the Rays forever, right?
Which is the dumbest thing ever.
Be that as it may, they can't just completely give up on trying to attract a fan base where that stadium is going to be, if you know what I mean. So by them marketing towards that fan base and being inviting into it, because again, let's not act like baseball is always the most inclusive game. Sometimes it's very gatekeepy. It's very old schooly, right? You would agree with that.
In what way?
Like sometimes people that are old school baseball traditionalists, they don't want to invite others in.
It's completely diverse on the field.
On the field, yes. But I meant like there's a lot of like people who are old time baseball, like traditionalists. And maybe I consider myself a traditionalist to an extent, that are very gatekeepy about the sports. You know what I mean? Like they don't want to let analytics in and things like that. And I think that's overstated. I think you want analytics, but mixed with old baseball knowledge. Right. But I feel like there's a large disconnect between the traditionalists and the new school fans. I think that is a big thing. My point with saying it is without trying to paint too many different pictures. My point with saying it is I think that they are staying at this location, or at least they're trying to stay at this location, and they're not trying to just give up completely on attracting the fans that are around. And so now that they're joining in on the whole mural stuff that's going on in downtown St. Pete, that's always been a big thing, and appealing to the underground culture that is over there and the counterculture, because that is kind of St. Pete's culture.
Yes.
I feel like that's what they did. That's how I read it. And I thought it was a huge hit. How that translates to ticket sales, we'll see. I don't usually think a uniform is supposed to do that, but it created buzz for the weekend. The event, from everything I heard on Thursday, was great.
Yeah.
So I still think they hit a home run with the release and everything, and everybody was talking about it.
I do too. I was completely misunderstood and misstated in my post. It was like, oh, you don't like the uniform. No, I clearly said in the post, I love the uniform. Oh, you don't want a marketing to if you want, and this I will mea culpa on this. If that's your strategy that you're going to embrace this underground, I think it's folly. I mean, okay, you're reaching out, great, but those people are not interested in baseball. I don't think, and they don't have, with all due respect, they don't have a lot of money, which is fine. Money's not important to them, and that's fine. It's probably more way balanced than everybody else, to be quite honest. Just that subculture, I don't think is ever going to be interested in baseball, which is one of the reasons you don't build a stadium there. It's not a culture that is excited about baseball. The voters overwhelmingly, despite some of the BS polls that you see, overwhelmingly reject when they know about what this deal is about. They reject it. And again, it's not. I'm pro baseball, but I'm trying to keep us from making the biggest mistake. People are like, oh, they're going to leave if we don't. But that's completely untrue. That is a false narrative. My point. Here's the other thing: if you don't have Stu Sternberg sign as part of the agreement an ironclad lease for 30 years, you have a better chance of him leaving by making this mistake. You have a better chance of baseball leaving by building this thing. Nobody's going to, after the newness wears off, it's still going to have the same location issues as it's always had. The culture and the people around South St. Pete are not interested in baseball. There's 3% of people that visit the area that come for baseball or sports in general, but yet you're going to spend 22% of the bed tax money on it. It's not that we don't love baseball. It's like we can't make this horrible mistake again, because it will kill baseball. If you do it again, it will kill baseball in this area. And there's still a deal to be had in Tampa, despite what people tell you. There's still a deal to be had in Tampa where it should be. So people think I'm anti-stadium. No, I'm anti-making the biggest mistake, which will lead to baseball eventually leaving, because it's a horrible idea. The subculture, i.e. skaters and underground art, as much as you want to pander to them, are never going to be long-term interested in baseball. It's not their thing. In fact, it's absolutely everything they're against. So and that was one of my big points. It's like, once again, it's virtue signaling, it's pandering to make you think that they're this altruistic organization. Meanwhile, while the thing is going on, they're reaching into your back pocket for $1 billion in real estate that they're about to bilk you out of. It's like, whoa, here's your new uniforms, everybody. Look at the glitz and glow. It's all fine. And meanwhile, they're coming around the back, taking your wallet out, going, okay, thank you for that $1.4 billion excess. Yes. But don't you like the uniforms?
I don't think the uniform, though, was supposed to have some like crazy, like, I guess, meaning like that, like how you mentioned it there. Like it's a uniform. At the end of the day, it's a uniform. It's a City Connect. It's supposed to honor the area of the uniform that's around it and everything, and incorporate all these different things. And listen, how we described St. Pete culture, at least when I'm down there, the uniform certainly gives off that vibe.
Absolutely,
and the way they marketed
100%.
it is to that vibe. So I thought they nailed it from that pinpoint. So I don't look at it as like they're trying to pander or anything like that. That is the culture that is down there. It's counterculture and subculture and underground stuff that I'm still learning what all that means.
I'm not saying they shouldn't have done it. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying, they should have had these old time. I'm not saying they shouldn't have done it. I'm just saying I'm calling it out for what it is. And you know, when you want to, that's all I'm saying. I know what their strategy is. I know exactly what their strategy is. And it's great that they did it. And two things can be true here. Two things can be true. Is it great? Is it fantastic? Absolutely 100%. Is it pandering? To me, absolutely. Is it virtue signaling? 1,000%. Because they're not going to get any tickets out of it. They're not going to get any long-term economic benefit. They're trying to create an illusion that they are all inclusive while they're trying to reach into your back pocket and take the real estate deal right out from under. Money that, by the way, should be going to the people of St. Petersburg. Those same skater people. Okay, you want to make a statement, Stu Sternberg, of the $700 million profit that you're going to make on the real estate alone. Why don't you give $600 million of it to the affordable housing, and let's build affordable housing there. It's not, you're just ripping off the city. So why not give that money back to the skater population? The underground art population and affordable and the African Americans that were displaced.
I guess I just don't see like why, like, this is just me speaking again. Like, I don't see what's so deep about it. Like they made a logo that they made a logo that incorporates a big landmark in the Tampa Bay area in the Sunshine Skyway, called it a Skyway, very creative and all that stuff.
It's fantastic.
They made a uniform that connects the word connect to the city that they play in, which, whether you like it or not, is St. Petersburg, Florida. Okay. Like, what's the difference in the Mets having the Brooklyn Bridge on it and the Phillies having a bell on theirs? And the Tigers just released theirs this morning. Guess what it says on it? Motor City. Like,
that's great.
It's just
two things.
I don't see what's so deep about it.
Well, you don't have to look second level. I do. You know, you think everybody's been waiting for these things for so long, Nick. How long have we been waiting for these? How long?
For the jerseys?
Yeah.
For the last 3 years when MLB started doing this.
Right.
But they
why do you think they waited till this week to put them out?
I don't think I know
the town halls tomorrow.
I know the way you're thinking of it.
Listen, you don't have to think about it that way.
The MLB had this on a schedule, though. The Rays were literally just in order.
Pay your $53 for your hat. Put it on your head. Don't look at it. It's everything that's going on now, and you don't have to pay attention to it. They don't want you to pay attention to it. Just look at the shiny things, so you don't pay attention to what's going on at the town hall tomorrow.
I don't think there was a connection there. Like they just went in order. Like it's literally just an order. Like the Tigers came a few days after the Rays put theirs out. There's going to be other teams that follow. Like they're just going in order.
Two things can be true. They are wonderful. They're amazing. I love them. They're fantastic. But if you don't think this is a diversion from what's really going on, how they're going to bilk these people out, this residents of St. Petersburg, most of them who don't give a rat's ass about baseball. Okay, and I know, oh, JP, why you got to ruin this? You're such a curmudgeon. You're such an old head. You got to ruin this whole thing. I'm like, I'm not ruining it. I'm just, have the fun. Can I not like say what is clearly obviously going on here? Can two things not be true?
Yes, I think the timing of everything is because the team when you made those remarks on, what was it, Friday, Thursday, whatever, okay, you have to understand the context of it. The Rays at that moment were 14-18, and nobody was enjoying the product on the field. And I think the jersey came out, and listen, it might sound silly, but there's a lot of us that enjoy the new merch and uniforms and fresh and stuff like that.
I love it. And
when those
too.
Came out, everybody just wanted to rally around that and buy their merch.
And I know,
just
and I threw a wet blanket
that.
on the whole thing. I know.
Right.
I know. I get it. I'm sorry. I apologize. I just can't help myself when I see something that's clearly going on. So, I mean, just I get it. I should have waited a week or 2 weeks. Everybody's so excited. And it's fantastic. They went out. I'm happy that they won. I'm happy that they're excited. I'm happy that it's all. But I just can't ignore the other part that's going on. I'm just putting both out there. That's all. And if you don't agree with me, that's fine too. It's simply my opinion. And again, I'm pro baseball. I'm pro Rays, and I'm trying to keep them from making the biggest mistake they've ever made in the city of St. Petersburg. That's all. Because I want, 80% of Rays fans don't want the stadium there. So that's all I'm saying. Is it a diversion from that? I mean, the timing is a little curious. There's no question about it. And it was fantastic. But that's it. I'll be done with it. We got so much other stuff to talk about. I don't want to get bogged down in that. Let me get to some of the comments on this as well. Thomas Casper says Giselle's 8 times a day jiu-jitsu lessons. Yeah, that was a great roasting line. Who said that one? Was that?
That was Kevin
Hart. Was Antonio Brown invited? I don't think so.
Yeah.
Glasnow trade is not looking too bad.
There's two sides to that. Tyler Glasnow is the Cy Young leader right now in the NL. But with that being said, Ryan Pepio has been really good, and Johnny DeLuca coming up this week. 6 RBIs in 3 games. Not too shabby, no?
Yeah, absolutely. It's fantastic. Let's hope it continues. The graffiti Fresh Prince riding Uhuru fan base no longer lives anywhere around downtown St. Pete. That's probably true. JP, did the lawsuit by minority partners get settled? If so, does that mean since no trial, we don't find out what really happened? Unfortunately, yes. But this is the settlement, which will keep everything out of disclosure, discovery, depositions. So, yes. And I was told many times by these partners that they would never settle. So this check has to be absolutely enormous for them to settle. I don't know what it is, but it's enormous. Nobody will find out. But I will tell you, it's got to be ginormous. And it's interesting that it doesn't settle until August. So that'll be after all the votes are done. So we'll see what happens there. All right, we'll talk some more baseball on the field with Steve Carney. He will join us here in a couple of minutes. We'll take a 3-minute break. We're brought to you by the Jeeves Law Group and, of course, presented by the great folks at Hydrate Heroes. We will meet another military hero other than Steve Carney later on in the show. But we're brought to you by the Jeeves Law Group, JEEVES Law Group.com. They have an office right down there on Grand Central in St. Pete, also in Tampa. They are local, they are trusted, and they get results. It's the Jeeves Law Group, JEEVES Law Group.com. Back in 3 with Steve Carney. Stay with us. JP here for the Jeeves Law Group and my man Scott Jeeves, who lives right here and has long been a highly respected member of our community. He's a proud sponsor of the Tampa Riverwalk. Jeeves Law Group is also a proud sponsor of our Grand Central District in St. Pete and has neighborhood events throughout the year. He has an office on Central Avenue in St. Pete and one on South Howard in Tampa. You can't get more local than that. So when you need an attorney, you're going to hire some huge firm that advertises all over the state or the one that supports your favorite sports show. It's the Jeeves Law Group. We're local, we're trusted, and we get results. For personal injury and personal attention, call us for a free case evaluation. That's 888-9-JEEVES. That's 888-9-JEEVES. All right, this is for all you guys who don't want to go to the gym and do 5,000 crunches. At Bay Area Modern Medical Center, you can get on the new True Body machine where you can reduce fat and tone up your muscle. It's like doing 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Define your body as you see fit. True Body offers personalized muscle stimulation that delivers the equivalent of those 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Just get in touch with them at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. Chris Lugo and the team over there will set you up on True Body and get amazing results. Non-invasive with comfortable and little to no pain and zero downtime. You can isolate and target those areas that you want to improve and treat multiple areas simultaneously. It's an amazing machine, so check it out at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. It's Diamond Days at the Gold and Diamond Source because April's birthstone is diamonds. As they take center stage, get up to 20% off all diamond jewelry. And our first-time buyers program will help you get educated about the 4 C's and all the different shapes and styles. And remember, you only want natural diamonds, folks. It takes billions of years to form a natural diamond. You don't want something that was made in a factory just a couple of weeks ago. And remember, your Golden Diamond Source diamond never loses its value. You can always trade up at the Golden Diamond Source for a bigger, better one. And they will spend the time to educate you about your diamonds and how to take care of them. And of course, consider the Golden Diamond Source to maintain and insure your jewelry. They can professionally clean it, check the settings, and make any necessary repairs to keep your jewelry in top condition. It's the 40th anniversary of the Golden Diamond Source, 3800 Omerton Road, always online at thegoldendiamondsource.com.
Let's go.
Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
Welcome back to the JP Peterson Show. And don't forget that the Golden Diamond Source right now, their Mother's Day sale is going on. You could win a free spa vacation. So get to thegoldendiamondsource.com or just head on in there. And we did the gift card match last week. You still got great prices and great opportunities at the Golden Diamond Source. So go check that out. Win a free spa vacation if you head on in there to the Gold and Diamond Source. All right, let's bring in our good friend Steve Connie from the St. Pete 9 website and been covering the Rays for everywhere. What's up, Steve-O? How are you?
Hello, JP. Right now, I am at the beautiful Carpenter Complex in Clearwater getting ready for my other gig with Major League Baseball. The Florida Complex League actually starts today, and the Phillies host the Florida Complex League Yankees coming up at noon. I got a little work to do for that.
So explain to the folks what you do there and to me, because I'm very interested on this thing you do for prospects and future talent.
Yeah. So for Major League Baseball, of course, they're the ones that now own minor league baseball, and all of the data for stats and everything that everybody uses comes through Major League Baseball data operations. And that's my other gig. And so, I will do stuff at the Florida State League level and here at the Florida Complex League. So I get to see some of these very, very young prospects. Some of these guys are 17, 18 years old in their first professional seasons, getting ready, either if they're just coming out of high school or if they're coming over from the Dominican Republic. They are getting their first taste of professional baseball in the United States. And so it's really cool to see some of these young kids come up. Justin Crawford was here 2 years ago after he got drafted out of high school. And then there's another kid who is now in Clearwater with the Threshers in Low A, Nika Puaka-Grego, who came over from New Zealand as a 17-year-old in 2022. Missed all of last year with a torn ACL. Now is in Low A and could end up being, if the cards end up right, could be the first big league ball player ever born in New Zealand. So that should be pretty.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun.
So do you collect all the spin rates and all the all the velocity and all that stuff, even at that level? Is that what you're doing?
That's not what I end up doing.
Yeah.
I'm doing more hit, out, error,
Right.
strike out. I do the basic statistics that most people are interested in.
Yeah.
The big picture stuff. I'm not doing spin rates. I'm not doing launch.
Are they gathering that data at that level?
Oh yeah. All the teams do that
Wow.
for player development, and that happens all over the league. Everybody's got Hawkeye or TrackMan or some of these systems, camera systems that use these really high definition slow motion cameras to get spin rates and stuff like that. It's amazing. But the player development sides do that for the teams at this level.
Interesting. Crazy stuff. Well, what a weekend at the Trop between the uniforms and the walk-off win yesterday. Johnny DeLuca coming in with 6 RBIs. I mean, we missed you, Johnny. We hardly knew you, but we really missed you. What a weekend. Just kind of sum that up for us.
Yeah, and really a lot of it has to do with, and you and I have talked about this on this show, that the Rays offense is going to go the way of the big bats. And yes, I know he struck out 4 or 5 times this weekend, but I mean, Randy Arozarena had the big home run on Friday night's game, giving everybody beer in Randyland. And then, of course, ending what was an almost 2-year-long streak for Edwin Diaz for consecutive saves converted. He had converted 26 in a row going back to May 24th of 2022. So he had been very, very good. And the fact that Randy was able to get a slider that he was able to handle and get it into the front row with 1 strike left in the game. That was awesome. And it's a good feeling going forward because there's going to be some tough matchups for the Rays here very, very soon.
So we obviously saw the jolt that DeLuca provided to the team this week, and I'm curious. You look at the way he played, and I know it's just a 3-game sample size, but the way he played and the way the opposite direction that Jose Siri has been playing recently, and he had the air yesterday. Seems like maybe a lack of focus sometimes out there. I don't know. But with DeLuca emerging and Josh Lowe potentially maybe getting the call up today or tomorrow, how do you sort of see that outfield rotation playing out moving forward?
Did he hear you? Can you hear us, Steve-O?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah, Nick was breaking up a little bit, but for me, and I said this yesterday after the game. I'm not quite sure what's wrong with Jose Siri right now. I tend to think that there's got to be something off the field that he is dealing with, and because he can be a little nonchalant on defense, but usually it's nonchalant like, all right, I got this, no problem. He's not usually nonchalant in the other direction where he's missing,
not hustling,
where he's not missing, he's missing fly balls and he's letting balls drop in front of him, so I'm really curious to see, maybe there is something there that none of us know about. And I mean, we all, as they always say, we're all battling things that nobody else knows about, and so they tell you to be kind. And so the people that are saying, ship this guy out of town, I would say hold off for now until we get the full story. Mm-hmm. But that being said, you want to have your best 9 on the field at all times. And so I think that getting Josh Lowe back, and that may happen as early as today,
right,
will be a huge plus for this team, and definitely, and I think will definitely help defensively almost as much as it'll help offensively.
Well, and the point being, do you just immediately put Josh in there and sit Jose down? I think you do. You have to, right? With DeLuca doing what he did, I mean, that's your best 3.
Yeah, I think you can do that. I think that if you want to DH Josh and sit Harold Ramirez down, especially if you've got a right-handed pitcher, I think that's another option that you can
absolutely
have. But it certainly makes the Rays a lot thicker offensively because, right now on the bench, you've got the backup catcher, you have Curtis Mead, and you have Austin Shenton and Ahmed Rosario or Richie Palacios. So I think that having Josh Lowe in one of those spots and maybe having a Siri or a DeLuca or even if you need to give Randy a day off, that I think there's a lot of pluses you can have, and it gives Kevin Cash a much better opportunity to go 1 through 9 as best as he can.
All right, the big question everybody's asking, and I asked you as well, what's up with Junior Caminero? Obviously, this team has struggled mightily offensively. He's the 4th best prospect. I know he's only 20, but we've seen a lot of young players come up and just dominate in the major leagues these days. It's not like the old days. These young kids are ready to play. And some of them aren't, like Jackson Holiday, who went 2 for 34. I get it. But with a team that's just so bad offensively, how do you not call this cat up?
There's a couple of things that I can think of, JP. The first thing is you're talking about a guy who has a grand total of 105 games played above high A. So he's
not a
still, it's not a lot. And I know that they had to call him up to the big leagues last year. If I'm the front office, that's probably a move that they didn't want to have to make, but they almost had to out of necessity. And you don't find yourself really in that position right now, because I look at it as whose at bats is he going to take? Because you're not calling up a 20-year-old to DH.
Right.
That's for sure.
No, we're not doing
So that means you're going to have to play him in the field, and he plays third base. Well, Isaac Paredes has been your best offensive player in the infield so far this year. You really don't want to move him to a position that he's going to be less comfortable with, because you could move him to first base, but then you have to move Yandy Diaz somewhere. And if you're going to have him DH, his OPS career is 100 points lower as a DH than it is as a first baseman. So you can tell he's not comfortable DHing. I'm sure that Isak's still young too. He's only 25. So they've got some questions, and it's nice to give him an opportunity to make that ramp as slowly as possible. Patience really is key when you're looking at these young players like a Caminero or a Jackson Holiday. I think that he's going to be up here at some point this year. You don't have to rush it.
Yeah, I get all that. No question about it. And the more the big league team struggles, the more people will yell for it. But so this weekend was a huge break for that. And I do understand that part of it, because you especially don't want to bring a kid up and be looking at him as the savior. Like when you're the rest of the team's so bad.
We already tried that with a 20-year-old once, and we know how that has worked out.
Yeah, it's a lot of pressure.
I do laugh, Steve, though, and I'm sure you do to an extent. The people that do make the suggestion of, well, just move Isak to first base, as if it's like, plug and play position, right? And I'm just like, do we remember when Isak played a few games at first base in 2022? Do we recall? Yeah, I recall how that went. It wasn't pretty, and I'm like, if the Rays thought he could play first base, he would have done it by now.
Well, and that's what I had said to somebody on social media, and like the answer is easy. I'm like, if it was easy, it would already be done. That's the problem. It's not easy. You can't tell me that this front office, as smart as they are, haven't already talked this through almost ad nauseum. So yeah. I think that you're going to see him at some point. He's going to become a huge benefit for this lineup. But people are like, well, you put him here for now. And I have to point out that Junior Caminero is not a for now guy. He's a for good guy.
Yeah. No, it's a good point. Patience is probably the best thing here, and the better, which underscores like, all right, you guys at the major league level, you have the spots, use them. Let's get it going. And we saw that against the Mets this weekend. Is this going to continue, or is this just a short burst or does DeLuca put that much in the lineup that it just solidifies everything everywhere else?
Yeah, you got to hope that, because after this 3-game series with the White Sox, who, by the way, swept the Rays in Chicago a couple of weekends ago, the next 13 games they have are against division opponents. They've got the Yankees next weekend. They go on the road to Boston and Toronto, and then have the Red Sox come back to Tropicana Field. Oh, yeah, and then, by the way, after that, you've got Kansas City, who is 5 games over 500. Matt Quatraro has that team going in the right direction.
Yeah.
And they have the best young position player in the sport in Bobby Witt Jr. And then the Oakland A's come to town and you go, oh, well, it's the Oakland A's. Bear in mind, the A's are 17-18 this year, just like the Rays.
The Rays, yeah. Yeah, interesting. All right, partner, anything else on the horizon for the Rays that we need to know about?
Well, I would hope that you're going to start seeing the rotation get a little thicker. Taj Bradley on Friday had a great outing in Durham. He went 6 innings, allowed just a single run, and struck out 8. I would assume he's going to start looking at being in the big leagues here, being back in the big league rotation. If not this week, then very, very soon. And that'll make things a little thicker rotation-wise. I would expect Shane Baz is probably pretty close as well, though they're going to probably monitor his innings a lot closer, and that's why I think that they're trying to keep Tyler Alexander stretched out because you probably will use those two in a 1-2 punch. That's not a bad idea. That's not a bad thing to have.
Yeah. All right, Steve, I appreciate it. Please promote all your content that you got going on.
StPete9.com, of course. The Under the Orange Roof podcast is still going on. And if you come out to one of these complexes and look up.
Well, that was good timing. You will see, Steve. So I think he just went out. Thanks, Steve. Appreciate it. We just lost your signal. All right. Yeah. Well, as we're all yelling and screaming for Junior Caminero last week, all of those are good arguments to keep him down.
They are good point. And the Jackson Holiday thing was the thing I was going to say. It's like, I know that as an organization, you're not supposed to focus on what other teams do, but if you take note of it, Jackson Holiday was killing it in AAA to start the season, 2 for 34 in the majors. And since he's gone back down to AAA, he still isn't hitting. He's still hitting like under 150. Like, so now his confidence is shaken.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's so important, and he's absolutely right. If you don't want to put him at an unnatural position. I know he can play second, right? He can play all over the infield. Caminero, I'm talking about. Paredes really can't. Is he as good as Yandy at first base? Not right now. Certainly not right now. Although Yandy made a play that could have cost him
almost
dearly.
Hurt him a little bit in that ninth inning.
Yeah. Randy saved his ass because that's a ball he's got to catch. And that was a hell of a play by Caballero, right?
Yeah, it tipped off the glove of Erasmo.
Yeah, and this is in the 10th inning. The Rays are going to get out of that inning without giving up a run. And then you have your courtesy runner starting off in the bottom. So that was a game. That was a game-winning play, really, for the most part.
And listen, I was going to
drop the throw. It was just terrible.
Right, and I was definitely like, for the people that are saying like, well, we'll just move Yandy to DH, and I mean, I used to say that too. Like, he's getting older, get him off his feet, but I was not aware of that statistic that Steve just brought up, that his OPS is like 100 points lower when he DHs. And you might say, well, what does that have to really do with anything? Routine is so big for these guys.
It's important.
It's very important.
Guys don't know what to do with themselves, and then they go back in the cage and they hit more, which may not be good for them. It may tire them out. They just don't. DHing is just not like, oh, go hit now. It's a total different detachment from the game that you have to learn how to handle yourself. Yeah. And
not everybody's Ohtani. Not everybody's Ohtani or David Ortiz, where they just made it look so easy.
Yeah, it's not that easy. It's not that easy. You can learn it, no question about it. But it's and the biggest part about it is what I mentioned with Caminero. You don't want him coming up with everybody going, save us. Save us. You're the savior. Right. Then there's added pressure, like the Orioles brought Holiday up and he wasn't, it wasn't like they were struggling crazy.
No, they didn't even need him to save him. They were just trying to field the best 26.
And it's still hard. Right. You bring a kid up and of course everybody has a different makeup. Maybe he would thrive in that situation. You don't know. Which is maybe one of the reasons you give it a shot for at least a short term and he can always go back to AAA. So we'll see him eventually, but maybe this was, maybe not.
Yeah, and they're already mixing and matching a lot of things because like the outfield now has kind of a logjam when Josh Lowe gets up here, and I'm curious to see whose spot he takes, like who goes down, because Siri can't go down. He can't go down. He has no options.
That's true, but I would.
So unless you look for a trade for a Jose Siri, I don't know. But I took note yesterday, Jose Siri. So he had the air. He just dropped a pop up in center field, which was just bizarre. But then he got yanked after 2 at-bats, And it's never a good sign when you're getting yanked for Harold Ramirez of all people, because it's not like Harold's crushing the
Right.
baseball.
Right.
But that's what Kevin Cash felt he had to make the move. And it wasn't like, oh, I'm bringing in a righty, like, instead of a lefty matchup. Like, no, it was righty for righty.
Mhm.
So I don't think Kevin Cash has a lot of confidence in Jose Siri right now. And given what DeLuca just gave you for 3 games, 6 RBIs and clutch hits, like he was going to make the opening day roster anyway until he got hurt. Like he's got to be up here. And also Palacios is not the odd man out either, because I took note yesterday, he played second base.
Yeah.
Palacios playing second base because Meade's not cutting it.
Yeah. And Rosario you ain't taking him out.
Well,
You know,
yeah,
even though
Rosario's a
he's
nice
pulled
chess
off.
piece that has all this,
Right.
utility nature, and you can
Look,
play
I'm-
matchup with him.
I understand Siri hit 20 bombs last year,
25, I think.
25 bombs. I understand that. But he's a career 220 hitter.
He's very
right?
undisciplined. Just
He's
very
very
undisciplined.
undisciplined. I just don't like his attitude. I don't think it fits the Rays way, quite frankly. Lollygagging around and not paying attention to the details of the game, not running it out to first base. I don't like it. I don't think it fits what the Rays do. And if you got a surplus, if you can trade and get something for him, let's do it. Let's do it right now.
Yeah, and they might entertain that. So I will say, like, it is interesting how Chicago is the next series rolling in here, the White Sox. And boy, I mean, you could make such good on it if you could just reverse what happened last weekend. If you can just sweep Chicago,
get a 6-game win streak going,
and make it go away, and we can forget about it.
And frankly, there's no reason they should. Like that's my expectation. My expectation is you sweep them back. You sweep them back, get that bad taste out of your mouth. You're on a roll. Can they wear these? Can they continue to wear these jerseys, or are they just one weekend like in other sports? You can only wear them on a certain nights or something. I don't know how the hell.
I think they could do whatever they
works.
want, but they probably will go back to the traditional whites tonight or the blues, whatever. But I would just if it's the City Connect or the Devil Ray stuff, I feel like that's usually good luck. I'd keep that and roll with
the
it.
Diversion going. I mean,
everyone loves it, for crying out loud. I don't see anybody just dying to get their hands on a white Tampa Bay Rays jersey or anything like that.
No.
So we'll
see.
Did
you miss that little shot I put in there?
I just moved on.
Just moved right over.
I moved right over. But no, and he mentioned too, by the way.
Stu's on the phone. Keep wearing those things. I got a town hall meeting tomorrow. I got to get past.
But even Steve mentioned, so like the reinforcements, other than Lowe, Taj Bradley is just been lights out in his rehab starts. He'll be up here probably this week, maybe. And then Baz pitched over the weekend as well for the first time. Some mixed results for him. It's been a while since he's pitched. And I didn't mention it to Steve there, and I wonder if the Rays are thinking about it. I almost feel like, because there's not like they have a rotation spot for Baz right now, because they already have Eflin, Littell, Pepio, Savali, who, by the way, Savali is ERA now is like 6.3 for Savali this year.
Mm-hmm.
Not great. And Kyle Manzardo, who he's forever going to be linked to, is making his major league debut today, by the way, for the Guardians, the first baseman we gave up in that deal.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to be watching that. But then when Taj comes up, you already have 5 guys right there. What about Shane Baz going to the back end of the bullpen this year?
Yes.
And just because seriously, like Fairbanks is gone right now, and he's got the nerve
and we
issue.
have,
We don't
we
know.
have to start thinking about life past Fairbanks. If he comes back and he's great, it should be a bonus. But we've got to start thinking about life.
Yeah, like the Rays could use some juice in the back end of that bullpen, like some guys who go hard, like get the stable going again. And I feel like Shane Baz just let it go for an inning.
Wasn't he a reliever in the beginning anyway?
He might have come up maybe and just did like long relief before he got stretched out, but I don't hate it because there's not really a rotation spot for him
right
now.
And who's got the best stuff you think that would play as a closer?
I mean, I like it. He could throw 98, 99.
Yeah. No. Who's got the most swing and miss stuff? Because that's what you want as your closer.
Right.
Is it Boz? Is it, Taj should be a starter.
Taj is a starter.
He's got great stuff though. He's got such great, but at some point you got to find somebody to be that guy. Because I don't know if you can rely on Fairbanks anymore. It just, and I'm not talking about because of the nerve issue. It's unpredictable. It's unpredictable. The dude can't feel his fingers at times. How can he be your consistent closer? It sucks because I love the dude. It's not specific suck. It's an all-encompassing suck.
All-encompassing.
It's an all-encompassing suck. Classic word. So, look, you love where the Rays are. Let's keep it going. I say wear the City Connects as long as you can. Keep them going and bring the White Sox in here and whoop their ass.
Yeah. The merch is selling out, by the way. There was another hat that I decided I wanted to get, and I apparently missed the window. It's already sold out now. It's disappeared from the website, and I'm very upset about it. No other opportunity for me to spend $50 on a hat. They took it away from me.
You know who's not upset? Casey. She's not upset. But it's your birthday, right? You need to buy yourself another hat for $50.
Hey, it is my birthday. That's why I went out and got a bagel this morning. I treated myself.
Somebody buy Nick the discontinued hat. What do you want for your birthday? Tell everybody. Maybe somebody.
Well, it was the hat that Stu was wearing during his interview on Friday or Saturday, whatever it was, with the Bally's team. It was the corduroy. That word always tricks me up. Is it corduroy? Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like the cream color hat, and it says Rays on front with the Sky Ray, and it's got the Pelican logo on the side.
Nice.
And it was between that one and this one when I was first getting the hat, and I went with this because it's the official. And I tried to go back and get this one over the weekend, and it's already gone.
It'll come back. It'll go. So if somebody can buy it for you and put it on layaway.
Put it on layaway, and eventually I'll make my way.
Save Nick's marriage and don't let him buy it himself. Save his. Give him a happy birthday and save his marriage at the same time.
Hey, that's why we have credit cards, though, right?
That's right. Damn right. Put it on credit. All right, quick break. When we come back, we're going to get into a lot of the other shenanigans going on over the weekend. Lots to get to. The Formula One race. Guess you won money on that. I did. First time that dude's ever won a F1 race. We'll do the hockey is getting interesting as well. The Magic choke. Lots more to get to here. We're brought to you by the great folks at Extravaganza Productions Incorporated, EPI. They have got a stable of great folks over there, creative folks that will design your event and get it up and running and do it absolutely executed to perfection. That's what they do at Extravaganza Productions. So if you got a business meeting coming up, don't just use the same old people they always use or the house people, because you never know what they're going to do. Get the absolute professionals, and that's Extravaganza Productions. They'll come in on time and on budget and execute their perfection. It's extravaganzaproductions.com. Go to the website. Tell them JP sent you. They'll give you a free creative meeting. That's extravaganzaproductions.com. Back in 3. JP here for my friends at your local Synovus Bank. And I do mean friends, and I do mean local. One of the local managers in Tampa is John Acosta. Big fan of the show, and I've known him for over 40 years. He's been in local banking since 1983. You talk about developing relationships. You don't stick around for that long unless you're doing things the right way and have a great reputation. And that's the focus company-wide at Synovus. Big enough to handle any complex international transaction, but small enough to answer the phone when you have an urgent question about your business or personal account. And for personal accounts, they have a very easy app that works great. You can do everything online. And for large or small businesses, you will get that personal touch and services to help build your business, taking your dreams and aspirations from the whiteboard to reality. We can make that happen. Let us show you how. For a get-acquainted meeting to open a business or personal account, just call John or go to Synovus.com to find out where your local branch is. Everyone knows Italiano Insurance is your go-to for home insurance, but they also have an amazing team that focuses on business insurance. Yes, your business is most likely your biggest asset, so make sure you have the right coverage at the most competitive price. And if you started a side hustle recently, don't forget you need business insurance, because if you get sued in this over-litigious society we live in, you could lose all your personal wealth. So get that business insurance. And for the best customer service, always choose Italiano. My representative, Charity, is amazing. I called her late on a Friday because my insurance was going to lapse. She stayed late until the job was done. You just don't find that anymore. Give them a call, 813-877-7799. That's 813-877-7799. Italiano Insurance. JP here for the Geddes Gordon Real Estate Group and our good friend Jane Geddes. Folks, simply put, there is nobody like Jane. Jane is a former LPGA two-time major championship winner. She was also vice president of talent relations at WWE. She also has a law degree from Stetson. So if Jane can drain a 10-footer to win the U.S. Open and stare down Hulk Hogan in the boardroom, you want Jane on your real estate team to not only negotiate the best deal, but find you the perfect home or investment property. And when you work with the Geddes Gordon Group, you become part of the real estate family and get concierge services that include expertly staging, marketing, and preparing your home for sale. Advice on golf properties. Hey, you might even get some golf tips. Many of their clients become friends long after the sale or purchase is completed. It's all part of the deal. So if you're looking for that perfect home or investment property or trying to get top dollar for your home, go with Jane Geddes and the Geddes Gordon Group, because there's nobody like Jane. Call 813-485-6808 or go to GeddesGordon.kw.com. That's GEDDES Gordon.kw.com. or call 813-485-6808.
With over 34 years of producing small and large events, Extravaganza Productions is truly a Tampa treasure when it comes to creating some of the very best events in Tampa and all across the United States. I've worked with them at the Florida Sports Hall of Fame inductions, the Warrior Games, which was an Olympic-sized event spread across all of Tampa Bay. They are the very best, from small meetings to exceptionally large corporate conferences to galas, fundraisers, sporting events, grand openings, whatever you want. Team EPI has an extremely talented staff of designers and show producers that develop extraordinary events fueled by the visions of their clients. You can reach them at their Tampa headquarters at 813-621-4700 or go to extravaganzaproductions.com.
Let's go.
Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, presented by Hydrate Heroes. Hydrate to donate. 15% of gross sales go to military veterans charities. We'll be meeting one later on in the show, so that will be awesome, as we love to do that. All right, Nick, we had some great racing over the weekend. You probably had to write the NASCAR race one, right?
Well, this weekend I was in Charleston, so I was off yesterday, but I got in yesterday midday, and the race was delayed because of rain, so I watched the whole thing still, just in time to see the closest finish in NASCAR history.
What a finish! And Kyle Larson, who was the other? Who was he banging doors with?
Chris Buescher.
Good guy. Coming off the far turn, these guys are literally just banging doors. And they come across the start-finish line. It just nosed. I couldn't tell who won. Could not tell who won. Photo finish, and Kyle Larson is the winner. But man, how did they keep that thing? How did they keep that thing going?
This race was wild from the stage one to the end. Like, there was in stage one, like it was Larson, I think Ross Chastain and Denny Hamlin were just jockeying back and forth for the lead. It was crazy. And then there was a moment where they went 5 wide coming down the front straightaway, and Chris Buescher there was like barely just this tiny little hole in between two cars, and he just went full throttle right through it, avoided a wreck. So the racing was great. And then coming out of that turn, Larson coming in on the outside, got a great run off turns 3 and 4. And I thought Buescher won it at first, and everybody did, because Buescher's, I felt so bad. Chris Buescher's pit crew went crazy and like celebrated. They like this going nuts at pit row because they thought they won the race. And then it was like, hold on. And then they showed them, and they were like, oh no, premature celebration. And Kyle Larson gets it done. But yeah, similar to the Atlanta race earlier this year, which we had talked about that finish. I mean, 2 all-time finishes this season so far.
And the Kentucky Derby was just unbelievable. I mean, if you were betting on that race, of course, you didn't know if you won or lost for about 3 or 4 minutes. It was incredible. Do we have the stretch call here?
Yeah, I have the call here.
So Forever Young has about a 4-length lead coming down the stretch, and he just gets run down by Mystic Dan and Sierra Leone, which is the best closer in the business. So once you saw Sierra Leone, you're like, okay, that's going to be the winner. But Mystic Dan was ridden by Brian Hernandez Jr., who did an absolutely spectacular job getting him to the rail at the top of the turn. I don't know how the hell he got through there. If you watch the whole replay, I mean, there is no room there. And somehow Hernandez climbed him up on the rail and got him in there. And obviously that was the move of the race. So here's the stretch call at the 150th Kentucky Derby. Down the stretch they come.
Far outside here comes a run from Stronghold and Resilience has now moved up to take the lead as Fierceness is given way, coming by the 16th pole, and Mystic Dan has now come through on the inside. It is Mystic Dan down toward the inside with the lead in the final 16th. Forever Young, Sierra Leone is coming. These three coming down to the wire. Who's it going to be? Oh, it's a photo of the Derby. Oh, it's a photo. Was it Mystic Dan or was it Sierra Leone? Forever Young was between them, catching freedom, finished fourth. A photo finish to decide the 150th Kentucky Derby.
So I'm sorry, it was Mystic Dan that was out front after making that move on the rail. So he had about a 3 or 4 length lead, and Sierra Leone and Forever Young were just coming hard. And it looked, I thought to the naked eye that Sierra Leone had caught him at the wire, but he was like, you know how those, they go back and forth with their strides, and Mystic Dan was out front of his stride, and that was the difference in the race. That was crazy. That
was nuts. I was watching this at like a rooftop bar, and like the second like it came down the final stretch, everybody just turned and everybody stood up in the bar and was watching that TV. And I know everybody probably had money on that race too.
Yes.
And we were all invested, and then it went to the end, and everybody let out a gasp because we were like, "What happened? What happened?" And Mystic Dan just gets it. I mean, that had to have been the closest Kentucky Derby finish of all time, right? Had to have been. I mean, we just listened to the race there.
Yeah, the top
they didn't even know the winner until a little bit after.
The closest 3 ever, and I think the closest actually finished between the 1 and the 2 too. It can't get any closer. It just really can't. And the top 3 finishers, closest race ever. So yeah, what a long shot to boot.
And for those of you
18-1.
Yeah, for those of you who didn't watch the NASCAR race, by the way, I didn't see it. So here was the photo. Kyle Larson put this out here on Twitter yesterday. He said he captioned it, "Kentucky Derby, hold my beer," and that was it right there.
Yeah.
There's the side by side of the 2 finishes.
What's funny is the winner was also banging doors as they came through the stretch. When he got the top of the stretch, when he tried to get through that hole, he was banging into that other horse. And I'm like, wow, I don't know if either one of them are going to come through. That was a dangerous situation because they were bumping so hard. I mean, imagine being these 2,000-pound animals just sprinting, and you're like, oh, I'm going to go through that little hole there at the rail. I'm going to take my horse through there. My God, what a you
gotta be so fearless to do that. Oh. And it's the Kentucky Derby is amazing, man. So yesterday, apparently, or on Saturday rather, it averaged 16.7 million viewers. That's the largest audience it's had since 1989. The Kentucky Derby, everybody always sprints to their TV to watch it, but it continues to grow year in and year out. The coverage, I mean, it's 5 hours, by the way, of a broadcast for all to come down to 2 minutes of actual horse racing. And a who's who. Jameis was there, by the way. I caught that. Our boy Jameis was there.
Attaboy.
The who's who of everybody was there. Travis Kelce was there. His mistress was not there. His mistress was not there with him, though. I know so many were disappointed at that.
His mistress. Wow.
Mistress.
It's his
but yeah, girlfriend, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, great event as always. Never misses.
All right. Because we put up all of the people who put up comments, or we tried to anyway. Kevin says JP still couldn't be more far off when it comes to the Rays' new jerseys. How much will attendance increase now that Detroit City Connects are out? Okay, Kevin, why don't you tell me where I'm off? Because I know you have no idea why I said what I said. And it's a little nuanced argument for some of you, so I get it. It's hard to get. I didn't say it's supposed to increase attendance. I said increase attendance in the long run. In the long run, if you're trying to connect and brand it to a certain group, my whole point was I don't think the skaters and the subculture are going to give you a long-term benefit in terms of attendance. It's in my mind, it was more of a pandering to that group to show some altruistic, like you're some altruistic, wonderful. We're gonna brand it for these particular people. By the way, is he giving any royalties to their art? Any of these artists getting royalties from these merchandise? Or are we just ripping off and appropriating the culture? probably. No, my point is that if you're paying, those aren't the people that are going to be buying luxury boxes and lots of tickets down the line or any tickets. The subculture of St. Petersburg, the underground subculture, does not give a rat's ass about baseball. Well, that's why they're trying to, okay, you can pander to them. I don't think in the long term they're going to be part of your fan base. So it's to me, it's a lot more virtue signaling than it is anything else. And of course, if you're that virtuous, why are you trying to bilk the people out of hundreds of millions of dollars in this stadium deal? Why aren't you trying to make a fair deal? Why haven't you put the residents of St. Petersburg first? This subculture. How come you haven't actually done anything tangible for them? Like give them money and pay for their artist contribution to your new City Connects. What is it, Kevin, that I'm missing on this? I said I love the jerseys. I love the colors. I love every part about it. I'm just pointing out that two things can be true. I know what their ulterior motives are because with the Rays, there always are. And yes, it's fantastic. I love every part of it. Am I throwing somewhat of a wet blanket on it? Yes, I am. Yes, I did. By pointing out what's really going on, I probably did. So I apologize for that in the moment. I probably should have waited a couple weeks to point it out. But I love them. I love that hat that Nick has on. Absolutely love it. I'm not paying $53 for it, but I do love it. I think all that stuff looks fantastic. And if you want to celebrate it, celebrate it. I'm not trying to, go have a good time. Pay all these inflated prices for the merchandise. Have at it. I love it. It's fantastic. But I'm just trying to point out what I see as the ulterior motives here. I may or may not be right. But knowing Stu, I probably am. All right. We're going to take another quick break. When we come back on the other side, Ron Diner is going to join us from the nohomerun.com website, and we will tell you what's going on with the stadium right now, this deal, why it's bad for St. Petersburg, why it's bad for baseball fans in general, why it's bad for Rays fans. This is why we don't like it. There's still an option in Tampa, and we don't want this one to go through. We don't want to make the biggest mistake in Rays history. Stay with us. Coming up next. Are you looking to be more productive and healthier? Do you know chronic dehydration affects your overall health and well-being? 75% of the U.S. population suffers from dehydration, and many of us don't even know it. That was me before I was introduced to Hydrate Heroes. 8 times the benefits with hydration. A beverage with benefits more than just hydration. That's right, 8 times the benefits with hydration. Hydrate Heroes provides a refreshing, great-tasting beverage powder to mix with water, providing elderberry, zinc, vitamin D, electrolytes, amla fruit, which provides a great source of vitamin C, along with a proprietary mushroom blend that has shown to help increase endurance and energy at the cellular level. Hydrate Heroes is so confident you're going to love the taste and the results. They are offering our listeners a special offer, a free 3-pack sample, no credit card needed. Just go to the jppetersonshow.com, the jppetersonshow.com, and click on Hydrate Heroes logo. Hydrate for health today with Hydrate Heroes.
All right, this is for all you guys who don't want to go to the gym and do 5,000 crunches. At Bay Area Modern Medical Center, you can get on the new True Body machine where you can reduce fat and tone up your muscle. It's like doing 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Define your body as you see fit. True Body offers personalized muscle stimulation that delivers the equivalent of those 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Just get in touch with them at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. Chris Lugo and the team over there will set you up on True Body and get amazing results. Non-invasive with comfortable and little to no pain and zero downtime. You can isolate and target those areas that you want to improve and treat multiple areas simultaneously. It's an amazing machine, so check it out at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com.
Everyone knows Italiano Insurance is your go-to for home insurance, but they also have an amazing team that focuses on business insurance. Yes, your business is most likely your biggest asset, so make sure you have the right coverage at the most competitive price. And if you started a side hustle recently, don't forget you need business insurance, because if you get sued in this over-litigious society we live in, you could lose all your personal wealth. So get that business insurance. And for the best customer service, always choose Italiano. My representative, Charity, is amazing. I called her late on a Friday because my insurance was going to lapse. She stayed late until the job was done. You just don't find that anymore. Give them a call, 813-877-7799. That's 813-877-7799. Italiano Insurance.
JP here for Extravaganza Productions. You know, I've worked with these pros on so many big and small events. They recently did the Kappa Alpha Psi Grand Reunion, the Tampa RV Show Exhibit. They did the Skills Center opening of Tampa Bay. They can do those small events. They do the biggest of events. So if you were thinking about planning a meeting or special event, call the talented staff at Team EPI. They will give you a free creative meeting if you mention the JP Peterson Show. They will provide you with an exceptional experience. Heck, they'll even show you their huge warehouse with great props. Anything you want. They'll do it on time and on budget. You can reach them at their Tampa headquarters at 813-621-4700 or go to extravaganzaproductions.com. Tell them JP sent you.
Let's go.
Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
Welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. Get a personalized plan for your health, your nutrition, testosterone if you need it, and staying well. At Bay Area Modern Medical Center, they concentrate on keeping you well, not just giving you a pill when you get sick. So go to BAMMC.com to get your appointment now and tell them JP sent you. All right, I want to bring in Rod Diner, who is one of the co-authors of the website nohomerun.com. He also worked for Raymond James for many, many years, has done thousands of different developments involving affordable housing, is very familiar with deals like the one that is going down in St. Pete, which is why we have him on. What's up, Ron? How are you?
Good. I'm fine. Glad to be here.
Thank you very much for joining us. I know you just wrote a recent blog post. I'm going to get to that in a second. Before we start, I want everybody to know that you and I are both big baseball fans, and we want the Rays to stay in Tampa Bay without question. We are huge supporters of that. What we don't want is another stadium built in a failed location, which is a horrible deal for St. Pete, because in the end, I think it will end the Rays' time here, and I don't want to see that. So, and I know you don't either. So, with that caveat and that lead-in, bring us up to date on what's going on with the latest. I believe we have a town hall meeting tomorrow, correct?
Well, actually, it's the day after. Let me just say that I want to just concur with what you say about baseball. I like baseball. My family's got season tickets to the Rays. I just watched if I can brag a little bit, I just watched my junior in high school come in the top of the last inning to win the District 2A championship.
Oh, that's awesome.
He got 3 players out with 10 pitches, 2 strikeouts and a
wow. we need him in the Rays bullpen. That's right. Awesome. What a proud moment.
And
for you.
the other thing I was going to say was I started watching. I'm from Buffalo, New York, and when I was 7 years old, I was listening to the Buffalo Bisons in the International League. I think I had a little radio in my room. You can tell how old I am by this. And I was listening to their games when they were away on the radio. So I followed baseball forever. So with that little background is, first of all, the deal has not been done. The situation is that the city negotiates the deal, and then they present it to the city council, and the city council has to approve it. Mm-hmm. The city council, there are 8 city councilmen and women members, and they will be approving it. During this month, they have 2 meetings. They're called committees of the whole. One of those is on Thursday, and if you go to nohomerun.com, and there's a link there it actually says attend city council meetings, but we're putting on a link to where you can actually watch it on TV. So that's Thursday. The meeting on Thursday is about the development part of the deal, which I'll mention in a minute. We'll talk about. Then they have a meeting coming up later in the month, which will talk about the stadium part.
Okay.
So just to bring everybody up to date, at least from the perspective of those of us who feel that, as you say, while we love baseball, we actually also really love of St. Petersburg, and we want to make sure that this is fair for everybody. So the way the deal is structured right now is that with regard to the stadium, the plan is to build a new stadium on about 22 acres for the Rays.
Mm-hmm.
And the cost, with regard to the cost of that stadium, which is about $1.3 billion, the city is going to come up with part of the cost for the stadium. And the city doesn't have the money, so it has to go and borrow that money. And with interest, that's going to cost the city $700 million. The county is also going to come up with part of the cost of the stadium, which we could talk about maybe later, and that's going to cost them $600 million because they don't have the money either. They're going to have to borrow it. And what we don't like about the deal is that there's no sharing of any of the revenue. The team keeps every nickel that comes out of that stadium. The cities and the county are going to put up all this money, and the Rays are going to keep every single dime. The other part of it is this is very valuable land. This is kind of a unique situation, I think, because the land is so valuable right now.
Yeah.
This land could be easily developed, and the parcel where they're going to build a stadium, to the extent if you say it's worth $1.3 billion, the cost of the stadium, the real estate taxes the city could generate if this wasn't a stadium, or if the Rays paid rent equal to what the taxes are, that's over $400 million to the city, and it's another $200 million to the county.
Yes, that's $600 million in revenue that if this were to be developed like Rick Kreisman wanted to do without a baseball stadium, and Bill Foster wanted to do without a baseball stadium, that's $611 million in tax money that would come in, as opposed to $700 million in tax money that's going out. So
that's right.
My Florida State math is not good, but that's a lot of freaking money right there to build a baseball. And that's the point, folks, is not just the cost of the stadium. It's what you could be doing with the property as well.
Right. Now, that doesn't say that, it's not to say that that we can't have a stadium there, but if we're going to have a stadium there and we got all this valuable land underneath it, then they should be sharing. If we're going to put up a ton of half the profits between us, half the cost between us and the city and the county, we should share in it. And if we're going to give up all these real estate taxes, they ought to pay rent for it. The other part of the deal is the rest of the land, the other 64 acres, in which the deal is that the city has negotiated a deal to sell the Rays and their development partner Heinz this land for $105 million. We think this land, if it was proper, if it's laid out, etc., this land could be worth $500 or $600 million. At a minimum, we think that the city ought to get an updated appraisal. But if you go with our numbers, there's another $500 or $600 million alone. So the city's
so not only are we giving them the land to build the stadium, we're paying for half the stadium plus interest. We're getting no revenue from it, and we're allowing him to buy the rest of the land, and his partners, by the way, who probably wanted to develop this land under the Kreisman plan, and probably were going to have to pay $600 to $700 million for the land. But if they partnered with Stu, who's promising to keep the Rays there, he gets the benefit of a $500 to $600 million windfall in the purchase of the property.
Correct, and that's right,
because he needs it.
Well, I guess I'd agree with you, is that we can talk about it. I'm sure we will talk about it. This ain't the best place for a baseball stadium.
No.
Attendance has been low always. Right now, it's the third lowest in baseball. It's not because the Rays aren't doing a great job. It's just that for a variety of reasons, there isn't interest in people going to the game in this location.
Right. And that's the other part of it is you live in St. Petersburg, and the numbers tell us this, although the latest numbers I think we got on season tickets for people, and this is when they wanted to leave St. Pete, and they were being honest with the people. They said they had 700 or 800 season ticket holders in St. Petersburg. And I mean, are you kidding me? 700? The people that live around the team, and you're one of those, the people that live around the stadium don't go to the stadium. It's not part of the culture of St. Pete. They're not huge baseball fans. It's not like St. Louis. It's not like other places. That's a fact. So to use that much tax money, I think you had an interesting stat as far as the visitors that come in for baseball. Tell us about that.
Well, I mentioned that the county is putting up with interest $600 million for their cost of the stadium. And that is going to, they're borrowing that money, at least as currently explained. For 30 years, they're going to put up $20 million. And the way they get their money, there's a tourist development tax in Pinellas County. People who come here and stay in hotels, short-term renters, they pay a tax. This money is used to promote the area.
Mm-hmm.
And they brought in last year just a little less than $100 million. And they're proposing to take $20 million, a little more than 20%, actually 22% of what they bring in for 30 years to baseball. And their own Visit St. Pete Clearwater study says 40% of the people who come to the area are most interested in the beaches, the museums, the piers, the restaurants. 3% of the people who come here say they're coming here for sporting events. And when you think about it, most of the people coming, don't know, they have the
and that's
data,
all
but
sporting events, by the way. That's the Grand
right.
Prix. That's
right.
the softballs, tournaments, all the other different sports that are going. That's not just baseball. So for Rays, it's less than 3%.
Absolutely. And, you think about people coming down here. Listen, I don't have the data on it, but I got to believe most of the people here are coming during the winter, right?
Yes.
And as best I recall, baseball's played in the summertime.
Yeah.
So, and the other thing about, just to mention one more fact with regard to the county, the major, if you ask anybody, what is the major draw to Pinellas County?
It's the beaches. Of course.
And so what they should be doing is taking the money, this $97 million, they should focus it on what brings people here. I'm a business guy. I would spend the money promoting pier and promoting restaurants and promoting the museums. And then what I do is I'd be putting aside a hunk of this money for the next storm so we can fix the beaches. I wouldn't spend it on that. We're not saying it's not a good thing, baseball, but spend your money that brings the people here. I mean, if I had a hotel out on Clearwater Beach, 22 miles from the stadium, I would think I'd want the money promoting Clearwater Beach.
Yes. 100%. And the other, the billionaire gifts, to Stu Sternberg in this deal don't make any sense whatsoever. You don't need to give him that much money up front. It's the only reason he's doing this deal, by the way, Ron. He has said for 20 years that St. Petersburg is not a major league city. It's not a major league city. He dealt with Bill Foster. He dealt with Rick Kreisman. Every one of these other mayors, we're not going to give him a blank check like, forgive me, Mayor Welch, but what Mayor Welch is doing here and giving away the store. And this is the only reason that Stu came around and said, oh, okay, wait a minute. We love St. Pete. We're going to be able to buy this land for $600 million under what it's valued at and not have to pay any taxes and get all the revenues. Oh, okay. Yeah, he knows damn well it's not going to work, but he don't care because he's getting so much money. And my feeling is not only is this a boondoggle for St. Petersburg, but nobody's after the first couple of years, there's not going to be an attendance bump and you're going to have a same location problem that you've always had. And it's not to say that St. Pete's a bad place. It's just logistically, it's really hard to get to for the majority of the population. So,
I was going to say St. Pete's got a relatively small population. There's only 100,000 people who live in there. And, we're surrounded by water down here. It's hard to get to. People, I see people texting and writing about they're not coming across the bridge from down in Bradenton, Sarasota. It's too tough. And I'm on 275 all the time. And notwithstanding the fact that they just added an express lane, it's bumper to bumper traffic to get from Tampa. It's too hard to get to have good attendance.
It's a failed location. And why you would spend the money for a failed location, the only reason is they want to, quote, keep the Rays in St. Pete. And I believe there's enormous value to having professional franchises in certain areas, but you got to do it in a smart way. If there's 650,000 people within the 30-minute drive of Tropicana Field, and there's 2.4 million and growing rapidly in downtown Tampa, it's a no-brainer where this should be. And that's the whole thing. I don't want to make the same mistake that the Marlins have made, is to spend billions of dollars on a stadium that's still poorly located because we're trying to be provincial about our politics. And the mayor should know, like the mayor in Atlanta knew, that he doesn't have the money to do this. And if you want him to go to another part of the metro area, like Cobb County, like the Braves did, and you don't have to pay for it, it's a much better solution for everybody, because that's where all the Braves fans are, in the northern part of the county. Most of the Rays fans are in Hillsborough County. Move your stadium to where that is for long-term benefit, longevity. Because if you build this stadium, you know what's going to happen? Nobody's going to show up, and in 10, 15 years, the Rays are going to move anyway, because it's a failed location. And you're going to be sitting there still paying for this stadium without a baseball team.
Yeah, because you mentioned about Atlanta. Among the reasons that I've seen that they moved were there was so much traffic congestion downtown. Yeah. Two, it wasn't like the things, the buildings and jobs were created around it. If anything, the areas were going the other way. Yeah. So they wanted to move to a place where it was easy to get to. There's lots of roads out there, and beyond
closer
that,
to their fans.
That's right. And in addition, there was a big plot of land so that they could adequately handle the parking. I don't know.
It was right across from my studio in Atlanta. It was a big grove of trees right off the interstate. It was making no money for Cobb County, no real estate taxes. It was an undeveloped piece of land that was not highly desired for development, like downtown St. Pete is. That makes a huge difference.
That's right. The other thing about the deal that's not I could mention as well is that there's the city. The way this deal works, there's a development agreement between the city and the Heinz and the Rays. And Alan Delisle, who is a city development administrator in the Kreisman administration, who has no axe to grind anymore. He's off on his own. It's not over spilled milk. He's a very, very knowledgeable guy. If you went to nohomerun.com and went to About, you can read about his track record. He's got lots and lots of experience with lots of developments in many parts of the country, actually. And he was also involved with the former development agreement when Kreisman was involved.
Right.
And two things I would say about that. There's going to be I guess I would call it a webinar tonight at 6 p.m. Alan Delisle is going to be on, and people can listen to it. If you go to nohomerun.com on the homepage, you can see where you just have to click this link on watch, and it will take you to the page where you can click on the Zoom. But just to highlight some of the things about the development agreement, that it's a very, he's got a 24-point document pointing out how bad it is that in addition to not being a fair price for what we're doing, among other things, the city's paying for a huge percentage of the infrastructure for the roads, etc. And as he points out, major developers, when they buy big parcels, they usually pay for that stuff.
Right.
The second couple other points he mentioned is that the city has no control. Once this thing gets over to Heinz, now they're the biggest, probably most successful international developer. So it's not to say that they're not going to do this right. But the contract says that, among other things, there's only 10 acres of open space, which didn't seem like a lot. And in it also, they're paying $105 million for the land. They don't have to come up with but $50 million of it for the first 10 years. It's almost like they're getting the land for free. The land around this stadium has been selling for $10 and $20 million an acre. They're going to have to come up with $50 million in 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 or 10 years. It's almost like we've given them the land for free, not for $105 million. So
they could take the other $50 million and invest it, and by the time they have to pay it off, they're gonna have the money.
No,
the city's not even making them pay for it up front.
No, it's like a free option for the land. The other thing that I'm looking at, what he points out, is this. Alan also raises the question, which is, what happens after they sign this agreement? Because the Rays could sell the team to somebody else. Before they can make a deal with Heinz to get their share of the profits out of the land, Rays get all of this money, and then they're gone, and the city got nothing out of the resale right there, because the city is creating the increased value for the team by structuring this deal.
Of course. Yes. Yeah. And where has Stu ever shown that? And here's the thing. Stu Sternberg could have taken the deal in Tampa 5 years ago and paid, and I think the cost at that point would have been $450 million to him. But in that deal, he was getting all the naming rights, which is worth about $300 million. So just out of pocket, it would have been $150 million to him to build this new stadium. Meanwhile, at that particular time, Rick Kreisman was ready to develop the Trop. He would already have that entire parcel developed and making money for the city, gobs and gobs of money, selling it at a fair price, as opposed to giving it away to a billionaire who's trashed your city for decades. And this is all because Stu didn't agree then and has held up the development in Tampa and at Tropicana Field. Why? So he can make more money. And was that the best thing for the people of St. Pete? Nope. The best thing for the people of Tampa? Nope. Was it the best thing for Stu? Yes. And I have nothing personal against Stu Sternberg. I swear to God, I don't. It's the way he runs the team. It's the way he screws Tampa and St. Pete and is very disingenuous about how he goes about it. And that's why I knew this deal was bad, because when he never wanted to be in St. Pete, but I didn't think it was this bad. Ron, how can any city councilman, how can the mayor put this forth? I mean, I see these things where they're giving us $50 million for an African-American studies. You're giving him $1 billion in net. If you sold that property, you'd have a hell of a lot more than $50 million to build an African-American cultural center. You'd have a hell of a lot more money to build affordable housing, right? Ron, you know about this. If they sold the parcels, how much money would they have to build affordable housing in other places of the city where it makes more sense?
Well, the deal also has outs whereby they can not actually build any affordable housing, and they can for a small penalty, and there wouldn't be any affordable housing.
Wait a minute, say that again. They don't have to build it.
Well, the contract says that and it maybe have been tweaked a hair, but the contract provided for 1,200 units of affordable housing, and the contract provides that if they don't build it, it was a penalty of $25,000 a unit, I think, per apartment.
$25,000 a unit.
But I think it's gone up a bit. But the bottom line is they can get out of that contract, and also they I guess the key is also that there is no requirement for. Remember, they're not paying anything for the land until they get around to it. It should be a long time.
Right.
And they don't have to build anything for a long time. Not to say that they wouldn't, but they don't have to. So what could happen potentially, and I'm not suggesting this would happen because I'm telling you, Ray Hines is a big developer.
Right.
But they could build the stadium, and the rest of the property could take a long time because the city has no control of when they're going to do it.
Yeah, which is, again, why would you not compel them to do it in the contract?
Again, I'm not great at all those details with regard to it, but if you watch Delisle tonight, I saw the slides. He's got 1 million of them, and he's talking. He knows his contract inside and out. Another thing is we're talking about the problem with the location is the plan is this whole property is going to get developed into offices and apartments and condos and museums. There's not going to be any more surface parking. What they're planning on doing is building some garages for baseball. Mm-hmm. Now, I don't have the details yet as to how many spaces they're going to put into those garages. But imagine they get lucky. Well, they won't. The Yankees are in town and they can fill the place up, 30,000 seats. And you got people trying to get off 275 onto the city streets, and now they're lined up to trying to get into parking garages.
A couple parking garages, yeah.
I mean, I go to the Spraz Performing Arts Center on Saturday night. They hold like 4,000 people
in Tampa. Yeah.
I'll tell you how often I get emails the day before that says you got to come a few hours early because there's something else going on. I can't imagine how they were going to ever handle the parking. Now, Delisle says, maybe that's why potentially they don't develop anything for a while. At least for a while, they could just not develop it and use the surface for parking. But that's not the long-term plan. So how are we going to handle
waste of money,
all that congestion? And And when you think about it, or at least when I think about it from a business point of view, and what's making St. Petersburg big league, more small b, small l, among other things, is all of the live, work, play vibe, the restaurants. So imagine you were going to try and go out to dinner when the Yankees are in town, and you wanted to go down on Central Avenue where there's a million restaurants. I think the answer is you wouldn't go, because you'd say, there wouldn't be any place to park. Yeah, I think it's counterproductive to what we're trying to do in St. Pete.
I totally agree. It does. St. Pete does not need a baseball stadium. It does not need the Rays. It's tremendous on its own. It's incredibly valuable. That land is incredibly valuable, and it's a bad place for a stadium, and that's proven. And it's without question. Hey, Rod, thank you so much again for all your knowledge. We'll be I'll put out all the links for the webinar tonight. So if anybody wants to check it out, and they can go to nohomerun.com just to find those links as well.
Got it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ron. Appreciate it.
Again,
folks, I am not we are doing this because we don't want to make this mistake. And Nick, I know you're one of the Rays fans that's like, just get it done so you won't leave. I'll drive over there. I get it. And I totally understand that. But this is somewhat nuanced thinking. You got to think long term. If that place doesn't hold, if they can't get any attendance for, say, they build it for 10 years, people still aren't coming because of the location. That team, if there's no agreement for them to stay, is going to leave. They're going to leave for other places. So, and they're still going to be cash strapped in terms of revenue to pay salaries because you're in a bad area in terms of location. You're still not going to get it. So it's a terrible solution to a problem that we don't have to do with this. We just don't have to do it. There's still a deal to be made in Tampa. Ken Hagan told us that a month ago on the show. But it's a fair public-private partnership where the Rays will make money in the long term, make way more money in the long term, but they don't get all the upfront money like they're getting in St. Pete. So if you're a Rays fan and you want them here long term and you want it to be much more accessible than it is now, you don't want this to happen. And the whole narrative that if this doesn't go through, that they're leaving is a false narrative. It is a false narrative. It's just being used to coerce these councilmen and city and county commission to vote for this. It's untrue. Major League Baseball has not said that. They would not leave the 11th largest market in America. They're not leaving. They're not going anywhere. They just I guess MLB is like, well, if you can get it built, Stu, go ahead and get it built. We'll just figure it out from there. But I think it's a bad idea long term.
That's probably where baseball's at, to be honest, at this point.
Judging from this contract, they're not compelled to do any of the stuff they're supposed to do. Hell, Stu might just say, I'm selling the team. See y'all later. And then you're left with this contract, and the new guys come in and say, yeah, we didn't agree to any of this, and we want to build in Tampa. Bye-bye.
Yeah. I just, as I said, even if it
property for nothing.
Yeah, and as I've said before, even if this does go through and it gets up, and of course, at the end of the day, if it goes up, it goes up. It's better than no stadium, right? I just don't think Stu deserves I don't think Stu deserves wholesale credit for it if it goes up, because in my opinion, when it takes you 20 plus years to get it done, I don't know if I call that a success necessarily, especially when it ends up in the same location it's at right now.
Yeah,
I think most agree that that area just doesn't need baseball. And that area has basically told you we don't need baseball because no one over there
and we're not interested.
So, yeah.
This is why they don't have a public vote on it, folks.
Right.
Why the city commission didn't even want to allow a non-binding straw poll because they know it would be overwhelmingly rejected.
And I don't forget the things that Stu has said about St. Pete. And if you're a St. Pete resident, you shouldn't forget the things that he said about your city anyway. And then now
ask yourself, why is he suddenly so interested in St. Pete?
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like you can go through the last 20 years and he's
stealing your money.
His tune changes often. Yeah. I don't forget the whole Sister City thing 3 years ago where he disrespected you during a playoff game, putting up that banner. I don't forget that. I don't forget if you're a St. Pete native and he told you in 2011 that this is not,
not
a major
league city.
Not a major league city, and then doubled down on that in 2019 and 2018 and 2021. Yeah. And then all of a sudden it's in 2024. Oh, it's the best thing that we have going. You know, we have to stay here. Like, it's just all a mess. It always has been a mess.
It has. And it's because of the owner. If there was any other owner, this deal would have been done in Tampa 6 years ago, 10 years ago. We'd be in a new stadium, easily accessible to everybody, to the majority, even the St. Pete folks who don't go to the games anyway. And and that's fine, St. Pete. I'm not anti-St. Pete at all. I love it. It doesn't need a baseball stadium. In fact, I'd rather see it developed into new restaurants and new areas and new shopping and all that stuff. You don't need it. And the reason stadiums are over here is because that's where the general population is. It has nothing to do with what's better. St. Pete's better for restaurants and bars and cool places and beaches and all that stuff. You don't need a baseball stadium. You don't need the Rays. You got the Grand Prix. You got so many other things. You don't need it. So why spend all this money on it? It's crazy. It's not good for anybody except for Hines and Stu Sternberg. That's it. Maybe some of the politicians or whatever they're getting out of it. There's no way they can be civically responsible and vote for this. It's no way. All right. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to have another one of our Hydrate heroes as we honor another great person in the military doing great things for our veterans. So stay with us. Quick break. JP here for the Jeeves Law Group and my man, Scott Jeeves. If you're going to hire an attorney, do you want some guy looking for a quick settlement and a quick buck, or do you want an attorney with some chops? Scott is a board-certified civil trial lawyer and a certified circuit court mediator. Been practicing in the Tampa Bay area for over 30 years. He is a peer-reviewed AV preeminent rated civil trial lawyer. They just don't hand out those classifications. He's been the lead class action counsel on many complex consumer protection cases and has handled hundreds of serious personal injury cases. He's dedicated his career to protecting injured victims and is committed to vigorously representing you. We're local, we're trusted, and we get results. Personal injury and personal attention. Call for a free case evaluation. That's 888-9-JEEVES. That's 888-9-JEEVES. The Jeeves Law Group. JP here for the Geddes Gordon Real Estate Group and our good friend Jane Geddes. Folks, simply put, there is nobody like Jane. Jane is a former LPGA two-time major championship winner. She was also vice president of talent relations at WWE. She also has a law degree from Stetson. So if Jane can drain a 10-footer to win the U.S. Open and stare down Hulk Hogan in the boardroom, you want Jane on your real estate team to not only negotiate the best deal, but find you the perfect home or investment property. And when you work with the Geddes Gordon Group, you become part of the real estate family and get concierge services that include expertly staging, marketing, and preparing your home for sale. Advice on golf properties. Hey, you might even get some golf tips. Many of their clients become friends long after the sale or purchase is completed. It's all part of the deal. So if you're looking for that perfect home or investment property or trying to get top dollar for your home, go with Jane Geddes and the Geddes Gordon Group because there's nobody like Jane. Call 813-485-6808 or go to geddesgordon.kw.com. That's GEDDES Gordon.kw.com or call 813-485-6808. Everyone knows Italiano Insurance is your go-to for home insurance, but they also have an amazing team that focuses on business insurance. Yes, your business is most likely your biggest asset, so make sure you have the right coverage at the most competitive price. And if you started a side hustle recently, don't forget you need business insurance because if you get sued in this over-litigious society we live in, you could lose all your personal wealth. So get that business insurance. And for the best customer service, always choose Italiano. My representative, Charity, is amazing. I called her late on a Friday because my insurance was going to lapse. She stayed late until the job was done. You just don't find that anymore. Give them a call, 813-877-7799. That's 813-877-7799. Italiano Insurance.
Let's go. Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, presented by the great folks at Hydrate Heroes. Also, extravaganzaproductions.com for any big or small event that you have. They can do all the audio visual for you, come up with great ideas. Go take a tour of their warehouse that has a lot of cool props and get a free creative meeting. Just go to extravaganzaproductions.com. Tell them JP sent you. All right. We wanted to welcome in our good friend and CEO of Hydrate Heroes, Michael Gardner, who has a special guest that he is going to introduce to us today, who's doing a great job helping military families. What's up, Michael? How are you?
Hey, I'm good. How are you doing?
Fantastic. It was a good weekend. It was good to see you, partner.
Yeah, I tell you, a lot of good things happening, and I'm super, super excited to present to the whole audience here. One of the people making a positive impact. As you know, we're very committed to supporting our military and military causes. And it's all about, we all have a purpose, we all have a passion, and to be able to help and support these foundations. Every time I meet somebody, I mean, this weekend, JP, we've met some great people and a great foundation. We went out and supported that. And that's really what it's about, giving back. And the next person, I mean, the more I'm like, God, she does this, she does that. I'm like, I don't know how she has time to, do anything else, but super excited to really show support for her and her share her story. And, it's amazing. And there's a special treat for you, JP. We're going to put you on the spot with your audience. So they
good. Okay. Robin Kelleher, the CEO of Hope for Warriors, is joining us here. Good morning, Robin. How are you?
Great. I'm great. Thank you so much for having me and for highlighting the work that Hope is doing. And Michael, we really appreciate you, allowing us to share the message of Hope, but also hit you guys with a challenge.
Well, Hope, first of all, Robin, tell me a little bit about Hope for Warriors and what you do for the military families.
Absolutely. So Hope for the Warriors is a national nonprofit organization. We were founded almost 18 years ago in Eastern North Carolina while military families were intimately experiencing the impact of us being at war and also in a deployment, a historical deployment tempo that no one had ever really experienced before. And so it was military families coming together to say, hey, we're going to band together and we're going to get through this together. And that's really where it started. Over the years, we have recognized the need and the importance of well-being for military thriving. And so we built programs that contribute to all of the unique areas that touch military lives to positively impact military families. They want to continue serving, whether it's their country, whether it's in their community, certainly in their families. And so that's our mission at the end of the day.
Nice. And of course, Hydrate Heroes, if you purchase any Hydrate Heroes, which you can do at hydrateheroes.com or get a free sample at tryhydrateheroes.com. 15% of the gross proceeds goes to organizations like yours, Robin. So take me on the ground. When you get dollars in, what are you giving to the families? What do they get?
So each individual comes or family comes to us and spends a lot of time with an intakes coordinator, and we learn about where their challenges are. And typically, it's they're coming in with financial needs. That's just the beginning.
Right.
More so now than ever because of because of the economy and housing issues. We're seeing a much larger increase in food insecurity. Also homelessness, home insecurity as well. So we're able to really sit down with them and build out a care plan for them. So basically the idea is you stabilize and then you connect them to community resources and then we make sure that they're thriving again. It's not a one and done though. So our clients, our families are with us for a lifetime. Ideally, we like to see at the end of the day that they're volunteering again and they're giving back instead of asking.
Yeah, that's great. That's how you close the cycle, right? Get everybody back into being productive part of society. And the need, as you mentioned with inflation and everything is right now, I'm sure your door, they're knocking down your door to get help, right? It's never been more important than it is now.
We have seen just in Q1 of this year, 36% increase in need over Q1 of 2022.
And I hate to say this, but there's probably war or a lot more deployments in the very near future. So a lot of these families are going to be without their husband or their wife. They're going to be off in deployment, which makes it even worse, right?
Yes, absolutely. So those are the things that we think about and talk about and work through every single day.
Well, Michael, I'll give you the floor. Why Hope for the Warriors? I know you've worked with them and seen the work they do. What impressed you about that organization?
You know, and I think it goes back to really our passion, our purpose, and we all have a B. You know, be healthy, be happy, be hydrated. What's your B? And my B is be united and bring people together. Use this platform, health and wellness, to reach families, reach unity between, I don't care your background, you know, it doesn't matter, but there's so many people out there doing good work. So when I heard about what Robin and we met at another event, it's just effortless. It fits. And I think that's what it's about. You know, it takes a village, right, Robin? I mean, it's not just one person or whatever. And even you, JP, what you're doing, your platform, you're allowing us to get the word out. The more word that we get out, that's going to make positive change. And it's in the communities, in the families, it's in the home. And that's really our future, these kids, and how, you know, we got to bring people together. And, you know, it just fits. Here's the best part of it. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Hydrate Heroes. Robin, you want to tell them about the challenge? Because we're going to put this guy on the spot.
Let's go. Let's go.
It's been working out. I saw him this weekend. I said, dang, man, I got to work out harder now. I can't let him pass me. But
what's the challenge?
So during the month of May, we have what we call the 30 by 30 Memorial Day Challenge. And it really stemmed out of COVID, right? We were just wanted to keep people connected, make sure that they were really focusing on their own well-being, and that simple notion of really dedicating 30 minutes a day for 30 straight days to yourself, to do any kind of physical activity, even meditating for 30 minutes a day, where you're really focusing on your own well-being, and at the same time listening and hearing stories of those people who have literally given their lives for this country, and as a motivator, as an inspiration, and as a reminder of how important the military is to this country. So we challenge you all to join us in the 30 by 30 challenge. It's free to register. There's no fundraising required. You can fundraise if you'd like to, or you can join us and build a team, join as an individual, but you can track your progress. It's very easy platform. You can create competitions within your organizations or your family. You can post pictures of how you're, how you're spending your 30 minutes. We have people walking dogs, doing yoga, getting on their Peloton. Hydrating is so important, of course.
Yes. The biggest Hydrate Heroes. Yes.
We want everybody to stay healthy and
so where do we go? Where do we go to sign up for this? To the Hope? What's the website?
I'm in. JP, are you in though?
Absolutely, 100%. I'm in. Nick's in.
Nick, are you in?
Nick's in.
Of course, always in.
We gotta watch the Young Gun though. That's
the whole team is in. Yes, we are in.
Okay, so if you go to hopeforthewarriors.org, you will see right in the middle of that homepage, there's a big square that says Memorial Day 30 by 30 Challenge. And you click on that and it'll walk you through registering. It'll make it super easy if you want to start your own team. Everything you need is there. If there's any, challenges, or our staff is standing by to make sure that everyone has a fantastic experience.
All right, good. We're going to get fit and we're going to support the Hope for the Warriors. A great idea. We're all in. So thank you.
And stay hydrated.
Yeah, stay hydrated. Robin, thank you so much for what you and your staff are doing. Now, as I mentioned, never been more needed. Michael, thank you for your commitment. 15% of all gross sales going to great organizations like this. So thank you so much.
Thank you, JP and Nick.
All right. We'll see you guys on Friday. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Mike. Appreciate it. We had a great weekend for guide dogs. We raising money for the guide dogs. Big gala on Saturday night in Orlando. Really, really good group. I'm going to put out some information on them. They train these dogs that help these veterans. I mean, do everything, like turn on the lights when they come in, they can turn light switches. They can bring them things like their shoes and other things. These dogs are so incredibly trained to do so. Walk with them, help them in every walk of life. They take like $60,000 to train one of these dogs. So we raised a lot of money for that. Saw a lot of sports stars over there this weekend. So really, really fun to do this stuff for the military vets who just need, they don't get paid anything. Their pensions are not what they should be. So we got to help them out every way we can and get fit doing it. So there you go. All right. Well, we still have a couple of moments left. Some thoughts on Ron's interview. Attendance always stays low. Look at Miami. They're set to start paying off their stadium debt, and attendance is already way down. Exactly. We can't make the same mistakes that they're making. So much wrong with this deal. Look at Chicago, KC, Oakland, Virginia, all getting threatened with demands for billions of dollars for subsidized stadiums. And you look at like Jerry Jones built his own stadium. So many of these billionaires can build their own. Arthur Blank basically did it he funded 80-90% of the stadium. They're not looking to shake down their communities for tons of money. Good Kickstanism says, good point. JP Sternberg's been a complete turd to St. Pete. Tampa deal was a complete fiasco trying to buy up the potentially valuable land ahead of the deal. Yeah, that's a whole nother story. Recon Scout says, thank you for the objective reporting. Nice coverage, JP. Really insightful for those of us who are fans and taxpayers. Yep. James says, it will be perceived that Tampa doesn't deserve baseball when this is all said and done, but based on that presentation, any council person who approves this should be called out. Absolutely. Again, it's just, it's not that we don't want baseball. We want baseball. We want a stadium, but we got to do it the right way for longevity. That's the deal. All right. Any final thoughts, Nick, on your birthday? Happy birthday to you, my friend.
Yeah, I appreciate it. 25. They tell me that's a big one. So it was cool to spend it in Charleston this weekend. That was fun. Yeah, we'll celebrating it tomorrow with the family, going to Cooper's Hawk for dinner. So
nice. And
fun.
if you see the cream, which is like a cream colored Sky Ray hat anywhere, buy it for Nick and his birthday.
I want it.
Keep an eye out. Send out the link.
And don't you dare send me an eBay link. Don't do that to me.
How much are they charging on eBay?
I don't want to know. I'm sure it's in the hundreds of dollars at this point. I don't even want to look.
Send your money to Hope for Warriors instead, will you? It'll do a hell of a lot more good. All right. Thank you, Nick. Appreciate that, my friend. Thank you all for watching and listening. If you missed anything, you can always watch it on YouTube at JP Peterson Show or FanStream Sports, or always as a podcast on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts. Have a great day, everybody. We'll be back tomorrow. Scott Reynolds will join us. See you then.